There we go. Nothing like trying to figure out, okay, what did I forget to do? And then you forget to do it. And then you're trying to dance around and figure out what's going on and all that kind of stuff. So, hi. John here, you there? It's a Thursday Thoughts. And so this one is pretty guest heavy stacked. First half hour, we'll talk about Open Cup and we'll talk about anything else on your mind. Bottom of the hour, 9:30, Max Anderson, radio play-by-play voice for the Chicago Fire, drops by. We'll get through the Oppo research for Atlanta United getting ready for Chicago Fire. Then from there, it is hour number 2 with Nino and Niko. It is our buddy Nino Torres from GOLTV. We're going to talk about Copa Libertadores. We're going to talk about Champions League. We're going to talk about Portugal and the season coming to a close in Portugal. And, you know, I know that we continue to we've ished on Boavista a lot. Rightfully so, probably, because, you know, they have an issue like paying people to do their work. And they are in, you know, and they were at the bottom of the table. And we do it kind of, well, A, because Nino covers it every single week, and B, as a public service. And I think that, you know, Portugal kind of came into our public consciousness with Victor Gyökeres and Sporting, and they're running everything. And then Amorim goes to Manchester United. And then you're thinking, okay, who's going with him, and that kind of context. But then you go to the bottom of the table and you see Boavista, and Boavista suing Reggie Cannon, and Boavista trying to grab other players. And then there was a deal with Boavista and a team in Major League Soccer. And then they kind of sit there and they go, what currency were we talking about again? Apparently there's a team that's worse. Boavista might even actually stay in the league. But the relegation scrap is definitely a scrap, and so we'll get into that. So it's Libertadores and Portugal and public service announcements and Champions League with Nino at 10 o'clock, and then at 10:30 and last half hour of the show, it's our buddy Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports and from Sounder at Heart. We'll go through everything, getting you ready for the weekend from the Pacific perspective. I do want to go over what happened with Tacoma and what happened in the Pseudo Cascadia Open Cup round of 32. We'll go over the Open Cup and the rest of Open Cup coming up in just a bit. But we do want to get into the weekend with Niko Moreno as well. So Max Anderson is dropping by bottom of the hour, and he will discuss everything Chicago Fire. Then it's Nino and Niko in the Power Hour in hour number 2. But first, as we say, it is time to do opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And quickly, let me see if I can find the QR code. So their QR code is there. So that's your QR code from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You start your day there. And when you check out, don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it into youth games, youth initiatives, stuff that they think of as cool. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And that is going to be about Open Cup. So we're going to talk Open Cup here in opening kickoff. In a way, it kind of makes a little sense. But right now, round of 32 is out, done, and gone. And only one instance of a lower division side knocking off an upper division side. Morning, Alex. This is how it happened late in the contest on the I think it was on the shores of the Monongahela River, and I think that we actually had a ball go either into the train tracks or past the train tracks and into the river itself last night as NYC was taking on Pittsburgh Riverhounds. So now it's a reason for Bob Lilly to yell, but not for the reason that we traditionally think, because something good happened last night. Later than late. NYC had a red card. They were down to 10, and literally this is 95th minute stuff. Riverhounds at home taking on NYC. Here's the end of the match, courtesy of our friends at Golazo Network and U.S. Soccer. You'll hear play-by-play, and then toward the end, you'll hear a little bit of Nico Cantor and Mike Grella. So here's how it ended last night, one of the early matches in your chaos bracket, and that was the only chaos we had. Here's how it closed.
Griffin was right there, not meant to be for Pittsburgh. This has to be it for regulation. From the corner, the header! A winner in Pittsburgh!
Pittsburgh Riverhounds. They have great play to earn this corner kick, and then this ball is played perfectly into the backside. It's headed straight back to the back post area. The technical execution on this header can't be overstated. What a great goal.
They were waiting for the
We got a cup set, baby! Pittsburgh Riverhounds, who had that historic run into the quarterfinal just a couple years ago, dreaming they could do the same thing again, and the high mark has set the highest of marks. New York City FC out of the...
So that's how it broke down last night. It was a red card by Stanisiewicz in a Dogso situation where he was last man, and it was just a hip check and a tackle, and NYC goes down to 10. Pittsburgh scores. Beto Idrak is the one who gets credit for the goal, and Pittsburgh gets the win, the only lower division team to advance into the round of 16. And so now we know the rest of the rundown for what happened. We'll go through the scores in a second. We picked business back up on the 19th with a bunch of 8 o'clock starts. San Jose and Portland, Copa Tejas with Austin and Houston, D.C. and Charlotte, Minnesota and St. Louis, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, Red Bulls and Dallas, Orlando and Nashville, New England and Chicago. And according to U.S. Soccer, they're all simultaneous starts on the 19th at 8 o'clock Eastern. So what happened last night? Well, what happened was this. Not a whole lot of upsets. And honestly, if you look at Pittsburgh, is it really a cup set because of their history from a couple of years ago with the run that they had? Is it really a cup set? A lot of folks are sitting there going, not so much. But last night, your results, as we sit here and try and figure out where they are. San Jose over Sacramento 2-1. Houston, it took extra time to get it done, but a 4-1 win for Houston late at the corner of 38th and Washington. El Paso had a lead of 2-1. Then Austin scores 2 goals in quick succession to get the comeback win at Q2. Dallas and AV Alta out of USL League One. It was tied at 1, and FC Dallas put the pedal down, got 2 goals, got their distance, got the win. Chicago Fire, no real problem with Detroit City. Detroit City, I think, ran out of gas with about 25 to go, and you could tell. All caps over Union Omaha by the score of 2-0. New England scores in the 87th minute in a back-and-forth game. They had the lead at Rhode Island. Then at Tidewater Landing, Rhode Island scores to equalize, and then New England gets the game-winning goal in the 87th minute, 2-1 the final there. Philadelphia and Indy 11 went to PKs, and it was the one miss by Indy 11 in the first 5, and that's all you need. 5-4 in PKs was the final. So bottom of the 5th, Philadelphia gets the PK that gets the Duke, and they advance to take on Pittsburgh. Orlando, no problem with Tampa Bay, 5-0. And Minnesota gets the one goal they need. The one goal they need at Lynn Family, and they win it 1-0. We'll check the numbers of that in just a sec. We talked about Pittsburgh and NYC. And so our match hub, I just want to see the stats. Randall scored in the 65th minute with 25 to go. So, that's a good recap. Okay. So Minnesota United. Let me see if I can find some stats here. Hang on just a second. Let's see. Hang on. Where are we? New England, Dallas, Chicago. Valor won 1-0 last night in the Can Champ on the early kick. Forge beat Halifax 3-1 in the Can Champ. Okay, so Pittsburgh, NYC, Minnesota, and Lou City. All right, so let's see if we have anything resembling statistics, because I just want to see what the possession numbers were. Oh, okay, so possession numbers. Okay, shooting breakdown. Apparently, yeah, Minnesota got the only goal, but Louisville completed the only pass. Okay. All right, got you covered. I see how this works. All right. I'll probably have to find someplace else to find statistics when it comes to this. But yeah, Minnesota United, 1-0 winners over Racing Louisville. And so, really, the only team out of the first division that has advanced, Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and they're going to play Philadelphia in the next round. So, there you go. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You go to the QR code once I find it, and then you hit that QR code, kick off your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once again, on your checkout, don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15 to get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest at youth games, youth initiatives brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay, once again, here's your breakdown. Max Anderson coming up bottom of the hour to get our Oppo intel and our Oppo research on Chicago Fire. We'll talk about the season to date. We'll talk about what he anticipates the starting 11 to be and what it has been like under Greg Berhalter to find out about this new era in Chicago Fire football. So Max Anderson joining us bottom of the hour. And then once again, Power Hour is Nino and Niko. That is in hour number 2. The other promos, once again, if you missed the interview with Lloyd Hours, that is up and running on the audio side of the network. And you can go back to the Tuesday show as I knock over everything on the piano, what has to do with notes for a follow-up show. So Tuesday's show, Lloyd Hours, the technical director of the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, batted leadoff, and he told you that they got the Kickstarter campaign completed. They made the number, 26,000 plus 20,000 pounds. So August in Arkansas is happening. Now they're just trying to get to that second stage. They have 2 weeks left in the Kickstarter campaign. If you haven't contributed, you still can. But then there are levels of participation, and one of those levels is a fan pack. And even if you haven't, even if you're not going, you haven't done the Kickstarter campaign, you just want to go to the store to buy gear, you can get the scarf as a part of the fan pack in the Kickstarter campaign, or you can get the scarf from us here. Everything else comes from London. You order the scarf from them, all the other gear comes from London. The jerseys, the bucket hats, the pins, all the things. You order the scarf, it comes from me. Other side of this door is where it is. It's where all the storage is. So, once again, the Kickstarter campaign is a success for the Marshall Islands, but you can still contribute, and we're looking forward to spending mid-August in Arkansas with our friends at the Marshall Islands. Olive in York has our jersey, the first ever SDH jersey, Kaiser Permanente across the front, and you can get it personalized either in white lettering or the light blue, Columbia blue, Carolina blue lettering. Take your pick. Consult with Abby or Alex if you wish to get it personalized. The Olive and York Navy jersey that we have, it has the Beyond Goals mentoring on one sleeve, Soccer for Good on the other. It has our friends from Kaiser Permanente across the front, just to show you how it looks. Greg Garza giving Blue Steel on the Instagram page, along with Sophia and Maddie. And you can pick it up there. Please consult when it comes to your personalization. Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. You get the Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta gear. You can get the sweatshirt or the T-shirt in red or in black. It is the gold embossed lettering across the front. SDH logo on one cuff, Grady Baby logo on the other cuff. Proceeds go to help out middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta Public Schools. Don't forget to join our Chant, our Fanaticos program for $10 a year. You get to be a part of things on the Chant app. And you get a whole bunch of cool discounts and access to a lot of that, a lot of breweries in North Georgia. You have catering available to you. You have Moxie discounts available to you. You have a discount available to you for a resort in Costa Rica. So go and go to group.chant.fan/soccerdownhere/join. Let's see if I can do it. Group.chant.fan/soccer down here/join. I think I did it. Did I do it? Yes, I did. All right. So go there, join our Fanaticos membership program, and then what you can do is you get to be a part of everything going on in those conversations. And then I'm trying to get to the Chant app real quick just so you can see what it looks like. So here's the Chant app. If you become a Fanatico, you can go to the Chant app, $10 a year. You can be a part of this community. All the commenting that we do on SDH, you can vote for your player of the match day, all these kinds of things. You can do that. Once again, $10 a year, group.chant.fan/soccerdownhere/join. You can do that. Let's see. So good morning, Abby. Abby is wondering about FIFA Volunteer Peeps. Alex got confused, thought morning footy was playing. Not quite, I know, because Niko had a late night doing Open Cup Golazo Network, and then turns around and does morning footy. So the man probably slept in the studio in New York. And David says you can't blame NYC. They're not used to playing on giant-sized fields. Absolutely true. That is absolutely true. That NYC is not used to playing on regulation. Not used to playing on turf either. But, yeah, at Highmark last night, that was your lone cup set in the round of 32. So Philadelphia now gets Pittsburgh in the round of 16 coming up in 11 days' time, I think. Maybe 10 days' time. May the 18th, I think, is what it looked like. Is what it said. I don't quite trust that, though. I don't trust that scheduling. Hang on just a second. That didn't look right. That did not look right. So give me half a second. Schedule, results, Open Cup schedule. Yeah, okay, so that's May, and they only go to date. You know, this you're not helping me, people. You're not helping. Absolutely not helping. So let's go to our friends at thecup.us and see what we can come up with here. U.S. Open Cup schedule. All right, so blowing through everything in March and April. We got to get to May. We go through May 20 and 21. So there we go. May 20 and 21, everything is TBA. Because when I saw on the U.S. Soccer website, everything had the same start time at 8 o'clock, I'm like, May 20th and 21st, Chicago at New England, Pittsburgh at Philly, Chicago at D.C., Nashville at Orlando, all caps at Minnesota, Houston at Austin, Dallas at Red Bulls, Portland at San Jose. That's once again on the 20th and the 21st. And then you go to the quarterfinals. You get June off. Quarterfinals are July 8 and 9. So May 20 and 21. That sounds a lot better. That sounds a lot better than the original numbers that we were given. But anyway, so that's your rundown of what it's going to look like in the Open Cup. But yeah, they only had the one Open Cup cup set. And once again, considering what Pittsburgh did 2 years ago, a lot of folks are sitting there going, they had 5 wins, or they had 4 wins and got to the quarters. So it may not necessarily be a cup set when it comes to this time of year. But Beto Idrak with his goal in the 95th minute, and 10-man NYC drifts away, and they're the ones that keep it from being an all MLS tournament from last night forward. So the rest of the U.S. soccer world would like to probably thank NYC and Stanisiewicz for the red card, or would like to thank Pittsburgh for scoring in the 95th minute to keep it from being just a straight 16-team MLS tournament. So there you go. We got to talk. So that will be, first and foremost on people's minds and things like that. Let me get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo before Max joins us in about 5 minutes and runs down anything and everything that is going on in the world of soccer. Arsenal have made an offer to the reps of Liam Delap. They're looking for a supporting forward with more experience and a proven option. Gunners also stepped up talks with the contract of William Saliba, who's been linked to Real Madrid. The aim is to prevent the 24-year-old from leaving for a cheaper price when he's got 1 year left on his deal, or on a free when his contract ends in 2027. Remember what we say about controlling the asset. That's what now Arsenal has to do with William Saliba. Future of Emi Martinez at Villa could be in doubt. Looking to sign a new stopper in the summer in the transfer window from the 4-letter paper. And I know that Pars probably that was the scream that you just heard. Liverpool ready to sell 28-year-old Greek left back Kostas Tsimikas in the summer. Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea all have an interest in Bayer Leverkusen's Patrick Schick. Chelsea and Liverpool leading the race to sign Dean Hewson from Bournemouth. Uncertainty around the final verdict of the 115 charges faced by Manchester City could extend into next season, but the club are still planning to spend big in the summer transfer window. Tell me something I didn't know. Al Hilal waiting for an answer from Inter Milan boss Simone Inzaghi about becoming their new manager, and if he turns them down, Al Hilal could make a move for Marco Silva from Fulham. Lloyd Kelly has made the required number of appearances to turn his loan move from Newcastle to Juve into a permanent switch. Napoli owner Aurelio De Laurentiis has intensified contact with Max Allegri in case Antonio Conte leaves the club at the end of the season. And Manchester United keeping tabs on 25-year-old Fiorentina forward Moise Kean. So you've got that's your news of the day. Now, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Now that we've gone past the craziness of the Open Cup, Here's what you got today. Libertadores triple header on BN, 6, 8:30, and 10. Velasars Field Olympia, Barcelona, River Plate, Universitario, and IDV. You can catch BN, all the BNs, and all the BNs. Nuestro Telesitio for the fans. Say Tigo Sports, Liga 1 Max Pro, and our buddy Nino Torres at GOLTV. You can get that at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here, and you become more of a degenerate than you may already be when it comes to watching matches around the planet. Europa League, Bodo Glimt and Tottenham, the reverse fixture, that's at 3 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. BN en Español simulcasting Libertadores. 2 to NA is broadcasting Manchester United and Athletic Club at 3 o'clock in the reverse. Liga MX playoffs, 9 o'clock, Necaxa Tigres, 11:10 Eastern Time, Leon and Cruz Azul. Unimas is simulcasting Bodo Glimt and Spurs in Europa League. Paramount Plus has both the Europa League matchups, has both the Conference League semis, Chelsea, Djurgården, Fiorentina, and Real Betis, and they're starting the promotion playoffs today in I can't do it. Jason, England. I can do it low case. Nick can do it better than I can. Jason can do it better than I can. They got the pipes. I don't. Bristol City, Sheffield United is at 3 o'clock promotion playoffs there. Super League on the USL on Peacock at 7 o'clock, DC and Dallas. Viks, the UEFA U17s. Italy and France coming up at the top of the hour. Spain and Poland is at 1 o'clock. And so that's your rundown of what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, and all the things today, except for Morning Catalucci, except for what's going to be on our network today. After we're done here, noon Eastern, it is Soccer is in Session Playoff Daily Live, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. We're going to be joined from Metter. We're going to be joined from Whitewater. We're going to be joined from Jefferson. Caught up with Molly McCarty early this morning before she had to sprint into geometry class. So there's a reason for the rationale of having Coach Estep and Coach McCarty. Doubleheader on the network, both channels running, both channels at 6 o'clock. On the mothership at 6, Jason Manny and Sophia Cupertino will be at Whitewater for Oconee County and Whitewater. I will be in Jefferson for Cherokee Bluff and Jefferson. So both matches going. Easiest way to do it is go to soccerdownhere.net if you haven't downloaded the Mixler app and want to go through the websites of soccerdownhere.mixler.com and soccerdownhere and the number 2.mixler.com. Probably the easiest thing to do. Go to soccerdownhere.net, go to the Listen tab, hit that, and there should be a siren going off when there's matches that are going on the network. And you'll have your choice of going either to listen to in the girls' semifinals, either Oconee County at Whitewater. And like I said, we should be hearing from Coach Estep in the noon hour. And then it is Cherokee Bluff and Jefferson. And I think both of these, right now the forecast is just to be cloudy. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock hour is when the rain chance increases. I'm not going to say improves because we don't want rain, considering that we'll be outdoors at Jefferson. We want the match to be over with and then let the rain start. But it is Oconee County and Whitewater on the mothership at 6 o'clock. It is Cherokee Bluff and Jefferson on the Deuce at 6 o'clock. Like I said, easiest thing to do is go to soccerdownhere.net, go to our website, hit the Listen tab, and you can choose your match. And so then you'll have that taken care of. Tomorrow, we're going to be at Johns Creek for Sprayberry and Johns Creek. I'll be up there for that one. Maddie will be taking care of all the social media and stuff. But right now, the plan is both matches tonight, both channels up and running at 6 o'clock from Whitewater and from Jefferson. Then tomorrow, Sprayberry at Johns Creek. I'll have the call for that one because Jason's on his way to Chicago to take on Atlanta United and Chicago Fire, 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. So that's where all of that is. But yes, so last 2 days of our broadcast schedule for high school soccer. Cannot thank the schools themselves anymore. Can't thank the GHSA anymore for putting up with us and what we wanted to do this season to blow up the broadcasts and blow up the volume of the broadcast that we have on our soccer content when it comes to doing live events. So these last 2 days are our last 2 days of broadcasting because the NFHS network takes over the championships next week. And so they've got it all, audio, video, and everything. So today with the doubleheader, both channels up and running, SDH 1 and 2. Then tomorrow at Johns Creek, Sprayberry and Johns Creek. Those are our last 2 matchups because that gets us through the semifinals, and Abby is a Sprayberry fan. Now, we welcome for the first time someone who now gets to hang out and he's got the keys to the kingdom. He's got the garage door opener. He now knows how to enter into the hour of chaos on Friday if he so chooses. Max Anderson, radio play-by-play voice of the Chicago Fire, dropping in for our Oppo intel and our Oppo research. What up, dude?
John, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I want to make sure you can hear me all right. First time using this platform.
You are okay. Everything is fine.
Great.
And it is up and running. And what? All right. So it's a chat. See, I'm trying to get rid of the lower third because it's like I was trying to promote something. Now people can see who we are. All right. The reason that we started doing this year on the network is we wanted to have Oppo research, and we wanted to kind of introduce everyone who follows Atlanta United, since that's where we're based. We wanted to bring in folks from each individual market to sit there and break it down and sit there and find out what to expect when it comes to the 2025 MLS season. So I reached out. This is breaking the fourth wall. I reach out to Max, and it's like literally, I reach out to Max, and I'm like, okay, how about here? And I'm literally trying to figure out, okay, how can I reach out to him? And it was through Instagram messaging that I got a hold of you, and you're probably sitting there going, uh-oh.
Well, now I'm wondering where else you trying to contact me, John. I feel bad.
I was trying to do it on the Twitters, but like DMing, and it was like I didn't get the DMing option.
I don't tweet much anymore. I've pretty much punted on Twitter in terms of tweeting. I think my last tweet was 3 years ago when I got this job. So, Instagram is definitely more where you can find me for sure.
Right on. And so as the play-by-play voice of the Fire, so first off, let me ask you, what's it like to go from what you were doing with hockey, and then being a hockey guy, I'm big into that too. Mm-hmm. So what's it like to be the voice of the Fire?
It surprised me. I'd spent a lot of years doing a lot of high school hockey in the area. I've done some college soccer, college baseball, college softball, and did all through college. I worked professionally, but this I also do. And got the opportunity to interview for the Chicago Fire job. A friend of a friend in the broadcasting world said, hey, we're looking for a new radio play-by-play. And I said, I'd love to do it. It had been, close to 10 years since I'd called a soccer game. I didn't tell them that at the time. But I did the tryout, and I guess it went well enough. And the original hiring manager, Jamie Chin, who recently left the Fire, is now with FIFA as part of their preparations leading up to the World Cup, is an A1 human being, took a chance on a guy that, I have a lot of play-by-play experience, but not necessarily a lot in soccer. So it's been a great this season 3. It's been awesome.
Yeah, and Jamie is a friend of ours here at the network as well. So anytime we want to knock on a FIFA-ish door, Jamie is the guy that we talk to on a national scale. Coming into this season, everybody was sitting there and looking at Greg Berhalter being the Bill Parcells of Major League Soccer, getting both job titles, having the business card full on the front and the back. What was the buzz like when 3GB wandered in the door, and the expectations when the season started?
So, personally, I found it really interesting. Obviously, as a soccer fan, you follow the U.S. men's national team. I follow a little bit of Europe. I stay abroad in Barcelona, so obviously Barcelona is my side. But you really got to know Greg through what felt like a pretty negative last year and a half of media attention.
Right.
The Nepo scandals that people claim that were going on. I bring all that up to say I am convinced at this point that it was a media machine gone amok, because I've gotten the chance to watch Greg Berhalter up close for, close to 3 months now. And I think he's a phenomenal coach. And I think the pulse that he has on his team is great. He's phenomenal with the media. He absolutely answers your questions. He, after the 7-2 loss to Nashville, which was, I don't even know how to analyze that one. He said what everybody saw. And I think that's what got Fire fans really frustrated the last few years, is you would get people talking about the club as if, wow, we're making progress here in a 4-1 loss. And no, Greg Berhalter made it clear that was unacceptable. We apologize to our fans. We're going to be better. We're going to answer to it. There are going to be repercussions. And I think that's all fans really want. It's been a rough decade for Fire fans. And there's been a lot of expectations. There's been big names that have been brought in that haven't quite lived up. And so coming into the season, there was a little bit of trepidation just because of, I think, the mental schema that at least I know I built up about Greg Berhalter and his national team experience.
Yep.
It's done a 180 for me. And even though the last few games have been kind of rough, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that, you still see a huge difference from what it looked like the last few seasons.
And so how would you characterize what Chicago is going through in 2025? Everybody's saying, okay, well, it's a rebuild, it's this, it's that. How would you characterize what's going on?
I wouldn't call it a rebuild. I'd call it a transition year. And I know that can be a cop-out a little bit in terms of, not wanting to call it as bad, because I do think they reloaded in some really nice ways. Philip Zinkernagel's come in and been a revelation. He's been phenomenal up the right wing. He's shown both great play on the ball, but great play in terms of finishing. Jonathan Bamba hasn't quite tallied the goals. I think the Fire fans and even Greg Berhalter, who frankly has been pretty tough on Bamba, expecting a lot out of him. He had 2 assists in his first match in the MLS, and he said, "Where's the scoring?" Again, going back to Greg Berhalter, just being the goods. I think those pieces up front, Kuipers has been more dynamic than he was last season. Even leading the team in goals last year, he's been much more creative this season, up to 7 goals now. And that top 3 have been really, really good. They're scoring a lot of goals. That has not been the problem. Problem's been on the other side.
Yeah.
Problem's been on the back end, giving up a league-leading MLS goals. The back line has been a mess. Jack Elliott stabilized it, I'd say, to start. You started to see the inklings of a solid defensive core if Carlos Terán could stay healthy. Of course, right as he found a rhythm, he got hurt again, and it sounds like, based on Greg Berhalter's comments, he's going to be out a while. He called it a pretty serious injury. So it sounds like he's going to be out for a little bit. And if you were watching, you saw it was not good to watch. And then you had the 7-2 debacle in Nashville. Now, part of the context you have to understand is the Fire earlier this season did something they haven't done in 20 years. They won 3 straight road games. They were the talk of the MLS, frankly, after about match day 6. Mm-hmm. And injuries and national team duty really ruined this team's rhythm. I know everyone has injuries, but it's been a revolving door of injuries to key players to the point where, they had 4 homegrown players starting a game that weren't on the roster a year and a half ago. So it's been tough at times to really stabilize things on the back end and in the midfield. Kelvin Acosta's been in and out of injury. Brian Gutierrez had a goal in his first game, just like he did last year. Everybody's like, this is the year that Brian Gutierrez. Then he goes national team duty, gets hurt not playing with national team, misses a couple more games, then gets a red card that was a red card. I'll leave it at that. And so his season's kind of been, not trying to find his footing too. So it's just been disjointed all together in the middle of it. I think Greg Berhalter's done a great job trying to piece this thing together. But now there's talk about, Alex De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne. Is that a thing that might come down the pike? That would obviously be this summer. So this team's still got a month or 2 of games before any meaningful reinforcements come their way.
Yeah, last time out, your starting 11 started with Brady in net, and then it didn't. And we'll get into that in a second. Andrew Gutman, who is familiar to a lot of folks here in the Atlanta area with his time with Atlanta United. Elliot Cupson, who we refer to as the little ball of hate, Johnny Dean, from his time in Birmingham. We knew him from USL Championship. Underrated player, Johnny Dean. Good to see him there. Pineda, Gutierrez, Orahel, Bamba, Kuipers, and Zinkernagel in a 4-3-3 as it's listed. So now that Brady is not in net for the 36th minute red card, who is it going to be in net this weekend up there going up against Atlanta United?
We haven't heard officially. It's not going to be Jeff Gall from what we understand. It sounds like it's going to be Brian Dowd called back on an emergency hardship waiver. Now, I know MLS rules. This is one that kind of caught me that I had to read up on exactly how this emergency rule worked.
Okay.
But it does sound like they can recall him from loan for one game. Again, didn't know that was possible, but I guess there is some hardship exception within the MLS. MLS rules sickos out there can certainly chat me here and quote me on it. That is not an MLS rule I was familiar with. But it's a capable goalkeeper. He's not Chris Brady. Frankly, Chris Brady, the last 3 seasons has had, I think, some national team clout taken away from him just because of the performance of the team. I truly believe a solid run of team performance, and he's in the running to be the U.S. men's national team keeper within a year. He makes some saves that I don't see anybody else in this league making. He is dynamic. He's young. He's an incredible athlete in goal, and he's really come along in the final tier of his game. First 2 years, getting to call Chris Brady, the saves weren't the question. He was not very good playing the ball out of the back. And if you want to make that next step as a keeper in Europe, which I think eventually he will, you've got to be able to handle the ball out of the back. You've got to be able to place it where you need to within the 30 yards of the box. And he was not good at it the first couple of years. He's been much better at it this year. A lot of that having to do with Greg Berhalter's system and the importance of control out of the back. And so that's been, I think, the last frontier of his game. And like I said, I think he's in Europe in the not too distant future and potentially leading the U.S. men's national team in the next year or so.
Max Anderson, play-by-play voice of Chicago Fire, dropping by for our Oppo research segment that we have every week as Atlanta United's getting ready for the Chicago Fire. I guess this is the match game portion of the program. For things to go well offensively for Chicago, blank is happening on the field. And it can be people and interactions and formations and attack-minded ideas. If things are going well, what are folks seeing in the attack for Chicago?
So for most of the season, it's been because Andrew Gutman and Jonathan Bamba have been creating up the left side. Now, that wouldn't have been my answer to enter the season. It would have been because Brian Gutierrez was dynamic in the midfield, but he just hasn't found his footing so far this season. If he gets his footing in the midfield to set up guys like Bamba, guys like Zinkernagel, and guys like Kuipers, it can be a long game. They've scored a lot of goals this year. That has not been the problem. Scoring-wise, you're going to see, again, the dynamic play on the left side between Bamba and Gutman. I don't have to educate your audience on what Gutman can bring and his attacking nature up that left side. But that seems to me when this team's going best, it's those two creating on the left side and then Kuipers really pushing the middle to create the space kind of at the edge of the 18. They've scored a lot of goals kind of in that 6 to 18 range because they are able to push up into the box, get that kind of clear space a little more in behind. And guys like Kuipers are finding the ball and finishing. Guys like, Bamba and Gutierrez at times are also finishing.
What's it been like to see Kuipers evolve over the last handful of seasons?
Well, last year he looked like a box poacher. I mean, that's literally all he looked like. And you didn't really see him create. You didn't see him work open spaces. You didn't see him create for others. You really just saw him kind of camp out in the box and wait for a cross to come in that he can either head in or after it bounces around, he can kick it in. That's been different this year, especially, not as much the last month, slowed down as the entire team has, but on the whole, he's playing more to space. He's really doing a nice job of pressing defensive lines to create space between lines, which is where the Fire have had some success. So sometimes he's just using himself as a dummy in terms of clearing space and allowing guys to come in behind him with much better looks at goal. So he's obviously still doing the poaching. He's still doing the box poaching, but that's not his entire game. Maybe only half his goals, 3 or 4 of his goals have been right place, right time. They've also been creating space. He's a key goal against Cincinnati. They ended up losing the game, but it was a key goal in the game to get him back in. It was a force over. He turned, got it to Bamba. Bamba threaded it through to Gutman, and Gutman finished it. So even in the transition play, he's been able to create some chances and be more dynamic than just a box poacher.
So is there, and I don't know if this is conventional wisdom or a fear from those who are watching outside of the field of play, but is the idea currently, okay, we know we have defensive deficiencies from the Department of Redundancy Department, but is the idea almost to outscore the opponent, knowing that we're going to give some up, that we're putting that much more pressure on our offense because of the frailties at the back?
You'd see Greg Berhalter's head explode if you asked him that question. The answer is no. The answer is absolutely not. He's not here to play, West Coast football. He's not here to play Golden State Warriors 3-point. He knows that things need to be cleaned up. That's been the key, really, is the mistakes. I mean, it has been, if I think of all the goals this season, less than half, maybe a quarter are off of just brilliant, really good, solid soccer play, right, and build up. The mistakes in the back have been killing them, and they've been avoidable mistakes that frankly, that's what FC Cincinnati did. Fire worked so hard for their 2 goals. Cincinnati pounced on 3 mistakes and scored bing, bang, boom. One of those being really unfortunate. I'm not sure if anybody saw the clip, but Mauricio Pineda, just outside his own box, is tripped by the ref, creates a 4-on-3 the other way, and Cincinnati gets the score. Again, looked up that rule. Would have thought there'd been a little bit more clear in the rule. That's a judgment call.
Oh,
I think that should probably operate like when the ball hits the referee. And if somebody in possession of the ball makes contact with the referee, I think that play should probably stop. Or be an advantage play at least for that player. But hey, again, I don't make the rules.
Yeah, right.
So no, it's really been the mistakes out of the back specifically that have really hurt them.
So then is the Nashville game just one of those that you sit there and you take it and you put it in file 13, you throw it away, you flush the toilet, and it's just like, okay, we learn from it, but we don't dwell on it kind of a thing?
So that's the school I come from, and that's my take. And then when we heard Greg on the post-game podium, he said, no, we're not throwing that away. He said, there's going to be accountability. We're going to learn from it. And it would be one thing if they had a performance like that, and that was the first one, and obviously 7 goals is way beyond.
Yeah.
But it's the mistakes, and it's some of the same mistakes we've seen over and over this season that I think Greg's point was, well, we threw this out last time and we're back here. We can't throw this out. We have to get better from this, and we have to stop making some of these mistakes. I mean, the depth that was able to be played in behind their back line last game was unacceptable. Jack Elliott's had a rough couple of games. As good as he was for the first part of the season, he was not good the last couple of games, missed a couple of markings, specifically in the Nashville game. We'll get to the Orlando City game, which I know has some oddities to it too. Mm-hmm. And that really needs to be cleaned up. So no, I think we're at the point now in this run of 5 games without a win where Greg's like, we can't keep throwing away what we're doing. We have to figure out why we're doing it. We have to fix it. So that was more the attitude. And again, to my opening comments about Greg Berhalter, his candor and, his openness with the media has been so refreshing. Just getting up there and saying, fans, we apologize. Unacceptable. Can't happen. And we're going to fix it. And we're going to be better next time. And with, 10 men and for 65 minutes, they were.
So the Orlando match, if I go Larry King and go Orlando, what sticks in your head?
I can't remember the last time I saw a goalie red card. That'd be one thing. I guess it was deserved. You watch it in slow-mo enough times, you could convince yourself otherwise, but you understand why the red card was given. Fortunate that it ended up being an inch, 3 inches, whatever, outside the box so that they didn't have to have the PK for it. That was a break. I think my biggest takeaway from that game was a young man named Chris Cups and a 16-year-old that stepped in after a team that gave up 7 goals the game before in Nashville, down 10 men for 65 minutes, played center back and played his you-know-what off.
Yeah.
And that really caught Greg Berhalter's attention too. I think we got to 5 questions in the post-game media. And he goes, how has nobody asked me about Chris Cups yet? A 16-year-old in his MLS debut, making a start, ends up having, he was like, he could not say enough good things. He didn't start in the MLS Cup game yesterday. I would assume that he will on Saturday. I don't know how he couldn't after the struggles that Sam Rogers has had and Carlos Terran being hurt. Omar Gonzalez is a fill-in at this point. He's not an answer in terms of any significant amount of time. So I think we're going to see the 16-year-old again.
All right. I'm trying to think of I'm trying to buzz through everything in my head here. Okay. So what would you anticipate the starting 11 looking like going into this matchup with Atlanta?
It's a hard one because you can't really take much from the U.S. Open Cup game yesterday. They basically went starters. They needed a win.
Yeah.
They won 4-0, and it went well for the most part.
Right.
I think that you're going to see I think the big three. Although I thought Marin Haile Selassie looked good yesterday. He's kind of been relegated to bench duty after being 2 years of a starter for the Fire. I think there's a chance maybe for a little bit more dynamic play up and down the right side. You see him as a starter, but Zinkernagle's been really good, so I don't see a reason to necessarily replace him. It'll be Jack Elliott on the back. I think it'll be Cups on the back. I think it'll be probably Jonathan Dean in the back. He looked better, so you're going to get to see your buddy there. And you'll obviously see Gutman in the back. Midfield-wise, you're going to see Gutierrez. Will you see Orhel? Is that somewhere where there's rotation? Maybe Haile Selassie comes in. I don't know. That seems very offensive focus for a team that struggled on the back end. And Haile Selassie doesn't necessarily bring you extra possession. He brings you extra kind of dynamicism up and down the right side. Right. And so we'll see on that. I think we're going to see a lineup we haven't necessarily seen a lot of, though. I think it will look different. I think Greg's serious when he talks about changes and making changes. Right now, the question is, where does Kellen Acosta fit in all this? That's the one name I haven't really said that he hasn't had a great year. He really, at times, has struggled finding his rhythm. Do we see, another youth movement there? Or does he come back in the starting lineup because he hasn't been as much in the lineup? There's a lot of questions right now. And I don't know that anything was answered yesterday with the U.S. Open lineup.
And my last question for you, are we going to talk about Inter and Barca in 7 sets?
Well, it's funny. I had the first half of that game on, and then I had to do some work calls. I had to take care of some work things. So in the back of my head, I'm like, wow, Inter's advancing, right? And about 45 minutes later, so it was maybe about the 85th minute, I turn it back on. I'm like, what happened here? And then obviously the ending, the extra time. So sad Barca fan over here. It was an all-timer. There's no doubt about it. And I hope more people were watching it than I figured were. At least it was on CBS. Yeah. At 2:00 on what was it? Wednesday? What's today? Tuesday? I don't remember what day that was anymore.
Sure.
I hope people were watching it because I think it would have been a great advertisement for soccer. And it was kind of like watching a Kings Oilers series in hockey. If you're going to get something to exactly. I think that was John. That was everyone's reaction to that series. It was NASCAR on skates. So if there was a game to watch, it was that one. And I feel similarly.
God, you had to bring that up, man.
I do see real quick, John, if you don't mind. I see the non-fire question.
Yes.
And then thoughts on the report the Chicago Red Stars. So I don't follow the Red Stars very closely. My good buddy Joe Chats from On Tap Sports does. So that's always somebody you could throw on. And who's saying R.I.P. Catalonia? That's fighting words up there in the chat.
Yeah, we have a Twitch pitch, and Catalucci is
got it.
Yeah.
So I don't know as far as that. I will say, so I'm a Northwestern football season ticket holder. Have been my entire life. Grew up in Evanston. Yeah. So that lakefront facility is awesome.
Love that.
Have you been?
I have not been. But
you should make an excuse. Make an excuse this fall if you can. It's a really cool way to see a football game. And as a lifelong Northwestern fan and talking to other Northwestern fans, we all got there. We all kind of looked at each other like, is it too late to build the permanent thing here? Because this is really cool.
Yeah.
But no, it's going to get built on the old site, and it's going to be great, whatever they build new. But I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, for a season, but I don't know. The Red Stars have a lot of issues right now on a lot of different fronts.
Yeah.
So, I don't wade too deeply into the Red Stars. Like I said, my buddy Joe Chats can certainly weigh in on that.
Yeah, and calling themselves just the Stars. That's the first issue.
Yeah, exactly. See, that shows you I need to follow closer. I forgot about that.
Dude, I'm right there with you. So hit the promo for me, and everybody gets to follow along on the local radio option on the Apple TVs. But go ahead and lay out the promo for broadcast plans coming up this weekend.
Yeah, local radio, you can certainly trigger, I'm sure as you all know, on Apple TV, that local radio option, or on WLS.com here in Chicago on WLS AM 890. We'll be at Soldier Field. It's going to be a great night. Fire looking for their first home win of the season. Haven't won at home. So Atlanta's going to be fighting that momentum for the Fire, hopefully getting their first home win of the season.
Yep. So as always, my friend, great to see you. Thanks for breaking the glass. And anytime Friday in the 10 o'clock hour, more like 10:30 and beyond Eastern time, the hour of chaos. Basically, if we don't have a guest, we just lay it all out there. and folks can parachute in, give me a 2 or 3 minute update, and get out or hang out or do whatever. So you now have the garage door opener. Drop in anytime, and you can let everybody know what's going on up there in Chicago. Great to see
I
you.
appreciate that. And anytime you need me to come on to talk Chicago specifically, just give me a holler. Happy to do it.
Will do, Max. Thanks for dropping
All
in.
right, John. Have a good one.
There goes Max Anderson, play-by-play voice for the Chicago Fire on AM 890. And no, it was good to have Max, and we kept him. I know the fourth was holding up the sign, and everybody's going like, "Dude, rap!" But there you go. That's your idea, And Bart, to your point, I'm legitimately torn. So Bart, for those not watching on video, the report that the Red Stars might build a stadium on the current Northwestern football field site. Why don't you just leave the one alone? Why don't you just keep the one that you got? It's a fantastic environment. The visuals are fantastic. The visuals in that place. Okay, so Northwestern University Stadium. I mean, to put that much money into a temporary facility, it's gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's you look at it now, and original stadium, new Ryan Field, renaming controversy, all these things. Okay, Ryan family donated $480 million to the university. Replacement stadium projected to open in 2026 at a preliminary cost of $850 million. Most expensive college football stadium in the country. Rockwell Group, the stadium is going to have a capacity of 35,000. Reduction of 12,000 from the previous facility, smallest football stadium in the Big Ten. Demolition process without explosives, January 29th of 2024. So then you have the renaming controversy and all these kinds of things. But the temporary, actually, let me rewind this for a second. What's the capacity for the temporary? That's what I need to get into here. Northwestern University temporary stadium. All right, so the Lakefront Stadium explained. I mean, that thing is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Total capacity of the facility around 15,000. Why couldn't, and I know that you're tearing stuff down. It's just that facility in and of itself it's gorgeous. The way that it's laid out. And I know that the Ryans, they want to drop 850 million into the stadium and, all that kind of stuff. That look on the waterfront, the way that it's constructed, the temporary facility, it's a gorgeous look. I'd love to know what capacity, what the seating numbers are for the Northwestern Stadium right now. And I'd love it if there was a way that you could. And I know that you're tearing the temporary one down to build the big one. But to keep the temporary facility at 15,000, I mean, that would be a fantastic look for the Chicago Red Stars. And I think that we're probably just saying Red Stars just to say Red Stars. But to have that, to have that particular stadium, I mean, that's apparently they're not losing a lot of game day revenue. But, the way that it's being constructed, the temporarily remodeled Northwestern Medicine Field at Martin, soccer and lacrosse. Why couldn't you just keep, I mean, like I said, I'm probably somewhat Pollyanna-ish. Northwestern Medicine Field at Martin Stadium, approximately 12,000. And the thing is damn gorgeous. I mean, you keep that one on campus. You make it multi-purpose. Oh, foggy entanglement. You're going to get deleted. I think they'd want the stadium to look more permanent than it does now. Also, don't know why they would want to try to play at the new Ryan Field. Right. So if you're the Chicago Red Stars, and maybe we're just boycotting the new name. So if you're the Red Stars, go play at Martin Field. But I know that having the specter and the shadow of the new Ryan Stadium, it's like, oh, we got to play in the big one at 35,000. Make artificial demand. if you're the Chicago Stars, make your demand artificial. And as you're trying this new branding, you go to Martin Field, you play in that, and if you sell it out, you've got a fantastic look, you've got great visuals, and then if it gets to the point where artificial demand turns itself into something where you have to move across the street to Ryan, then do that. I know you want to play in Soldier Field. I know you want to play at Ryan. You want to play in places where you can have massive friendlies and things like that. Maybe play a couple of matches at a couple of different points in the season. Play at Ryan, play at Martin before you play at Ryan. Anyway, I want the stadium to look more permanent than it does now. Okay, well, I mean, shoot. You got a lot of different ways to do that. All right. Hour number 2. Now that we have espoused the virtues of artificial demand when it comes to your seats in your stadium, the way that it always works is that when we go to Peru and we catch up with our buddy Nino Torres, he sends me ideas about what he wants to talk about. I have not seen them. I did send him a note about things that we do need to talk about. And so I have not seen what he wants to talk about. We will see where there is a cross-section as I clear out one thing and hit the second. And so we know what that means. It is time to sit here and go, yellow, 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 when we bring in our buddy Nino Torres from GOLTV. How are you, my friend?
I'm all right, man. Yellow, yellow, yellow. Soccer Down here, fans. Fully loaded Thursday. I'm so excited. I'm so pumped. I'm so thrilled about this episode today because we got a lot to talk about, and it's so cool.
All right. So I have your ideas. It says, when Nino Damas was right, episode 547. Lay it out for me.
What did we say last week? Watch out for Inter. Watch out for Inter because, I don't know, you got Lamine Yamal, all the almighty wonder kids in Barcelona playing the magic tricks. But this is soccer, baby, and this is San Siro. This is an absolute fortress. You know what? It's for the second time in history the Inter takes down the team with the greatest player in the planet, because Lamine Yamal is the greatest player in the planet right now. Okay, and people Inzaghi, it was even though. All right, listen. Even though that when they advanced to the finals. Someone pointed out that they shouldn't be happy about it, because how in the world you can see 6 goals in 2 games and being like, oh, okay, but they made it through, yes, but one team conceded 6 and the other conceded 7. Mm-hmm. So that tells me, what is this telling you? Defense. You gotta work on defense just a little bit, baby, right? Just a little bit. Because when you go to Munich and you find Luis Enrique, who is an absolute genius, man. He is the genius. He transformed this team. He created the monster that PSG is right now. Okay? And he was, I'm going I'm just going through the stories of UCL right away, man. Because they were not complaining, they were mocking Luis Enrique and his PSG. Oh, that's a farmers league. Oh, he was in the conference, right? Oh, so yeah. How's my farmers league doing right now? Huh? Tell me now.
Luis Enrique is a bad man. That's all I gotta say. He is a bad man.
Yeah.
And PSG.
And you know what? He did that.
No, I'm just saying.
The Barcelona.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about that Barcelona from 2009, 2010 with Guardiola and Messi and Xavi, right? But for me, the Barcelona that won the treble, they won the treble? Yes, I think they won the treble. In the in 2015-2016 season, the Luis Enrique one with the MSN, I think that Barcelona is better than the Messi one with Xavi and Iniesta. You can come on to me, guys. I'm here. I know the lots of people is gonna come on to me. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. All right, prove it. Prove it.
Oh man, it's just one thing. There's a piece of video that has always stuck with me, and Jason showed it to us one day in our production chat, and it was a conversation that Luis Enrique was having with Mbappe.
Yeah,
and he's trying to tell Kylian Mbappe, you can be the greatest player on the planet. You've got to help out defensively. I'm paraphrasing, but Luis Enrique is going hard line to Mbappe to try to make him a better player. And he's basically going like, look, dude, you can be the best player on the planet, but you got to come back and help out defensively. And Mbappe he's like nodding his head. And you could tell it looked like it was rattling around in there, going in one ear and out the other. And you see who is in the final for Champions League, and you see who ain't. And it's right. Luis Enrique who is, and Mbappe who ain't.
Mbappe watches. You gotta watch it on TV now. Mbappe, you're gonna watch the finals on TV, brother. All right. And I'm talking about the players that need to be part of the entire structure of soccer, right? Not just scoring wonderful goals and everything else. No, nowadays it's 11 players on the pitch, and all 11 have to be committed in defense, in offense, in transitions. Now this is not like the goalies. That's mandatory. The goalies play with their feet because they're the initial cornerstone of the build-ups for the teams, right? So if you have a goalie that doesn't play well with the feet, you're missing. If you have a striker that is not going down the pitch to help on defense, you are missing. All right. So and this is exactly what he did with Dembélé. Recently, it transformed. They paid. I think he paid 100 million for Barcelona. I think they did. It was 100 million. And the guy was a disaster. He was a disaster in Barcelona. But recently, he understood what he needs to do with this guy, right? Because the guy is so fast. I think he has like 3 lungs or something, man. I don't know, man. Because he can run like whatever, right? So come on, drop it, sit deeper, and you're gonna have more options because you're so fast, and because probably Dembélé is probably the best player in the planet when it comes to play with both feet. I don't think there's another player in the planet that can go from the right, shoot from the right and shoot from the left. I'm using both feet, and he can kill you from any possible angle, man.
That's when you have that and you can play with that, that you got something special. All right. The Farmers League Billions and Wonder Kids. And we kind of got into that a little bit, but it's Billions and Wonder Kids in the Farmers League. Heroes and demons are the Nerazzurri.
Which one you want to take? You want to take the
Nerazzurri? I want to talk Farmers League, man.
They were interviewing the guy who I don't know. It's unpronounceable, his name. I'm sorry. The CEO of PSG. And
Nasser Al-Khelaifi. Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
That guy. How many billions did he invest? Not just him personal, but the corporation. How many billions they invest in PSG since they took over? I would say probably 3 billions. We're talking about billions, right?
Yeah.
And this year, on this edition of the Champions League, his team has the youngest roster in the Champions League. 24.3 years in average is the age for this PSG project that is coming to fruition, that is most likely going to crown the championship this year. I said it. Oh, crap. I was not supposed to say that, right, man? I just said it. It's Nino Damas, brother. Nino Damas loves to drop some bombs from time to time. And So yeah, I think PSG is gonna win the Champions League for the first time ever. For the first time for a French team since 1993. 93, right? Yes, 93. Yeah, 93. No, almost like that. It's nine Olympic is 92.
Okay.
Olympics 92. 92.
Okay.
Because 93 is my AC Milan.
Yes.
That's my
So
Milan.
yeah. So you got you spend billions, and then all it takes is having the right guy in charge, and you don't have to necessarily spend billions, but you just got to listen to the dude, and you'll be okay. There's a reason Mbappe ain't there no more, and he did because he didn't listen to the guy.
Exactly.
And it's like, look, I'm trying to steer you down the right path. And literally, that is like a minute and a half of him just getting after Mbappe. And then he's like, "Do you get it?"
Like, yeah, whatever, dude. Yeah.
And then he walks out of the conference room. And yeah, so who's playing for the last one, and who ain't? That's your answer right there. You don't have to spend billions if you've got the right man in charge and everyone buys in. Bottom line with Luis Enrique, he is a bad man.
Just one quick thought before we go into the Nerazzurri thing, because this happened also with another superstar, French superstar that now is a commentator, Thierry Henry, when he was playing in Barcelona.
Oh yeah,
you know the story, right? That he scored a couple of goals, and he was so happy because in 45 minutes I scored 2 goals. You're out, brother. You're out. I told you to play on this position, and the ball will get to you. Why are you moving to this position? I didn't tell you to move there. I want you to stay out wide, and the ball will get to you. And that's exactly, that's key. Pep is the boss. Luis Enrique is the boss. You got to listen to the boss.
Yeah. And so if you haven't heard that Pep Guardiola story, go and find Thierry Henry talking about his time with Barca and Pep. And it's like trust what the man's trying to tell you. Don't freelance.
Yeah.
Don't go on your own. Yeah, you scored, but you weren't paying attention to the collective, and that's why I'm sitting your blank down, because you didn't do what I told you to do, and I'm the man who's in charge.
Exactly.
It's a great story. All right, so Nerazzurri, Heroes and Demons. What's this about?
I think this is one of the greatest stories in Champions League, because Acerbi, 37 years old, man. 37 years old, scoring his first goal to send the game into overtime. But that's not the story here, man. The story is that this guy, he's supposed to be dead. All right? He's supposed to be dead. All right? He beat cancer twice. Okay? But before that, he lost his father, right? He lost his father when he was playing for AC Milan back in, 2012? Yeah. And then he got into depression, man. He got into depression, alcoholism. He was the rock bottom of his life. But then after that, he kind of like battled alcoholism, and then boom, you got cancer. So what he said was this, right? Cancer saved me. Cancer saved me because finally I got to fight something that was supposed to be stronger than me, and I beat cancer. And that's why now I'm so grateful for having cancer, because cancer kind of been put into a different battle, into a different war in his life. He was battling, yes, with depression and alcoholism, but cancer was going to beat him, because alcoholism and depression, there's the worst, right? But now having to face cancer in that state of mind and overcome those obstacles to come back and play the soccer again and lead his team into the finals of the Champions League, I think it's just absolutely beautiful.
No doubt about it. All right, so we've got to talk about Libertadores in South America, but I wanted to get into Portugal. And I was explaining and I'm reminding folks about how much we ish on Boavista, because they don't pay their bills, they don't pay their players. Then when
and yet,
yeah,
they're there. But this is the thing, right? There are 3 teams at the bottom of the table tied at 24 points.
Yeah,
it's Boavista, Farense, and ADS, and because of the hardest schedule is for Boavista, because they got to play Porto this weekend.
Yeah.
And I don't know what was the last game. But the story here is that all three are going to battle for the playoff relegation spot, which is the last third of the on the table.
Yep.
Because the team that is in where is it 16 place, which is Estrella Amadora, are 5 points clear with 2 games to go. They're not gonna, they're out of the conversation. But the thing is, whoever finish in that playoff relegation spot have the challenge, right? The challenge that since this rule was included in the Primera Liga, every year the relegation playoff was won by the team from the second division.
Ha.
Not the first one. No. I'm going to stay. No, you're not staying. You're coming down here. I'm going out there. So we'll see. Whoever finished in that place, I don't know who that be. I think, but I don't know. But they're going to have a tough time because Alberca, which is the one that is in third place in the second division, they're so strong. They're so strong, and they're coming after this playoff spot. And I don't know if any of these three is going to be ready for what is to come in that playoff relegation game.
Right now, the bottom of the Liga is Firenze, Boavista, AFS. They're all at 24 points. Firenze is ahead in goal difference by 10. That's the only thing that is saving them right now. They're 10 higher than Boavista, 12 higher than AFS. And we like I said, we have ished on Boavista because they don't pay their bills and they take folks to court, and then the judges sit there and go, "Oh yeah, Boavista, you don't pay your bills, but you're right." For the dude, like Reggie Cannon's case, jumping the contract. Well, he didn't satisfy his contract, so he has to pay us. And the judge is like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." Irrelevant to the fact that, well, you didn't pay him his money and you didn't pay the club that had the transfer fee, and then you had to deal with the other. I think it was RSL with the recent transfer idea, and then Boavista was like, "Well, no, what currency were we saying that this deal was in?" And it was either one or the other. And they're like, no, it was supposed to be. And then so the deal's off. Player flies to Salt Lake, is ready to make the deal, and Boavista's like, no, that's not the right currency. And so they back out of the deal after the player jets to RSL. You tell me in the week when we were talking about these kinds of things that AFS may actually be a worse run organization than Boavista? Please explain this, sir.
Sort of, right? So first off, they using the AFS because they cannot use the legal name, which is Grupo Deportivo Aves, all right? Because that belongs to another club. So They stole that name first, right? Oh, you know what? You're not Aves. We are Aves. Well, you're not Aves. Well, I got the proofs here. All right, this is my legal name. Oh, but I thought that was my legal name. No, it's yours. Okay, it's mine. Okay, let me come up with something like AFS. It's not ABS, but it's AFS. So might not be, So they having this these legal issues, and also they're their training camp doesn't belong to them either. It belongs to another club, but they're using it. But they don't pay the other club for using it.
Of course.
So it's kind of I don't know which one is worse, man. But it's funny and at the same time it's not funny, right? Funny But that's why AFS is this should be in the district leagues or something, man.
Yeah, they should. And so should Boavista, but that's just me. All right, so. Also in that, and so we got to go over the matchups for this weekend. Do you have your broadcast schedule yet, sir?
I'm calling the derbies. The Lisbon Derby, Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Woo, boy.
And then the Derby de Invicta, the Cidade de Invicta, which is the derby, the Porto Derby. We got the Lisbon Derby on Saturday, and we got the Porto Derby on Sunday. Porto versus Boavista. And as many people doesn't know this yet, but if Martin Anselmi doesn't win this game, I don't know if he's going to finish.
Wow.
this season.
Wow.
Okay, so
Mm.
okay, so because now it is, they have the European spots locked in, right? But there's another. The winner of the TASA is gonna get an automatic bid for the is it conference or Europa? I think it's Europa. So Porto is safe no matter what. All right, they're safe in that place, whether they finish third or whether they finish in fourth place. But in the front office of Porto, they're not liking it. They're not liking it. They drop points to Estrella Amadora. Adragao, man. Adragao. It's just, and now they're playing Boavista, who fighting for their lives. They're gonna play at Dobesa. They're not playing in Dragao. They're playing at Dobesa Século 21st Century Stadium, which is, by the way, one of the coolest stadiums in Portugal, because it's like a matchbox. You know, it's kind of like the Red Bull Stadium in Jersey. It's kind of similar. It's kind of similar. The layout is like a matchbox or something. It's so cool. It's so cool, and it's so loud too. So we'll see what happens there. But on Saturday, the Lisbon Derby. Before we go into the Derby, just real quick, we got 8 minutes. Okay. Sporting Club almost messed it up. They almost messed it up because Benfica won on Saturday, and Sporting got a win, right? Got a win on Sunday against Gil Vicente, who, by the way, never ever in the history of their matchups won in Lisbon.
Wow.
And guess what? And guess what? Who was winning until the 80th minute? Gil Vicente was leading by 81 minutes. And Sporting, the highest scoring machine in the planet, in planet Portugal, by the way, averaging 19 shots a game. They shot 2 times before that. 2 times in 81 minutes. 2. And then boom, Maxi Arroyo comes up, boom, equalizer. All right, now we need one more. 85, 86, 89, 91, 92 and a half. We got a canto, we got a corner kick. And it's a goal winner for Sporting.
Of course.
2 minutes to go.
Of course it is.
And they got that. They pull it off.
All right, so your juice boxes: Nacional a -103 hosting Rio Ave, Santa Clara favored at a +120, Benfica favored at home at a +114, Sporting is a +231 to win, and the draw is a +243. Casapia, big underdog, hosting Braga at a -167, and Gil Vicente a +136 at home, hosting Aruca at a +208. Sunday, Estrela is a -109, AFS a +305. Morense is a +137, hosting Estoril at a +196. Vitória Guimarães, big favorite at home, a -175, hosting Firenze. And Porto, a -256 at Boavista, who is a +650 in those matchups.
That's it. I thought it should be more, man. It should be like, I don't know, +10 or something, man.
Yeah, you would think. But like I said, this is today. Things may change as we get closer and closer, and especially after what happens on Saturday in the league. But Benfica Sporting, 1 o'clock on GOLTV. And then you got Boavista and Porto at 3:30 on Sunday afternoon on GOLTV with some guy named Nino Damas. All right, Libertadores. And when we get into that, I know that you specifically said the sad state of mind that Peruvian soccer is living had another setback. Please explain yourself, sir.
Last weekend, it was one of the probably the most controversial and most sad episodes that I've witnessed here in Peruvian soccer. Really? The referees got it wrong many times. They got the wrong calls. They could perform badly, whatever. And but the thing here with Alianza Lima, and it's not because I am from this team. No, right. No. Yeah. This doesn't have nothing to do with that. It has to do with the integrity. It has to do with the respect and the human beings. there was, of course, there was a red card. Paulo Guerrero complained. The game was kind of heated. The referee, he's kind of like an ass, right? A little bit, right? That guy can be an ass sometimes,
Right.
And but that's it, right? You leave it there. It's the end. After the game, there's this creator content for Alianza Lima. They interview him right after the game, and he says, "Watch out. We know where you live.
Wow.
We know where your daughters go to school.
Wow.
We know where your wife goes to shopping. Okay, I'm just saying." He said like this. I'm just saying, we know those things. Don't get my people mad. All right, but that's not the end.
Wow.
The very next day, the very next morning, at the Peruvian Soccer Federation, which is like I live like 7 blocks away from there. Posters on the doors. You might understand how mad we are the day we kill a referee. Don't mess with Alianza Lima.
Wow.
And I don't think that I ever seen this. I don't recall any episode like this in the history of the game.
Wow.
Of the game here. I mean, it might happen somewhere else. I don't know, but here we never got into that. And now with social media, they're spreading out this hate. And you know what? There was a clip from this Alianza Lima. There's a lot of people that creates content for the teams, right? And they do streams and everything else. Right after the red card, I showed this clip in that's a red card. Hey guys, hey production, give me the personal information for that referee. Give me the personal information from that referee. Give me the phone numbers. Give me their schools. Give me that. And they posted it.
Damn.
They posted cell phone numbers for the referee, his wife, the school for the kids. I was like, what is this? What is this? You know, it was just that's criminal for me. If you ask me, that's a criminal offense or criminal activity.
I mean that's horse-ish, man. That's no.
And I went on TikTok and then the very next day, and you know what's crazy, that I got a lot of comments that were siding with me, but of course there were Alianza Lima fans that were like, "Hey, no, you're wrong. They're messing with us." What are you talking about, brother? What are you talking about? Okay, so the world's against you. You don't think? No. I just can't believe that there's a lot of people that think that this is right. That's the worst part, Johnny. It's not the worst part is not that these idiots that they're saying this. No. There's the message, the hate message. It's spreading. It's spreading, and right now, Johnny, we are here in my country. We are going through a really tough time here, man. Tough time because the criminals are all over the place, and there are extortions, and there's people dying, and we haven't lived this before. Because we fought terrorism back in the 80s and the 90s, but this is organized crime.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of hitmen around, all right? And because of this message, there might be a hitman out there that's crazy enough to do something that I don't want to know, you know. And it's sad, brother. It's sad because we're supposed to be happy, and if you want to cry, I mean, cry for your team, suffer for your team, complain about your team, but don't do this.
Yeah.
Don't do this, please.
Man, that is a topic that we got to put a bookmark in that, and keep an eye on that one for me, will you? We'll keep bringing that one back up. And speaking of Alianza Lima, they were in the round of the group stage, lost to Sao Paulo. They were a dog at home. They lost. You had a lot of folks on the plus side in Libertadores come out on wins in this past round of the group stage. Let's see. Plus side, you had Palmeiras, who was a plus. Racing Club was a plus. Sao Paulo was a plus. Peñarol was a plus. LDU Quito was a plus. Nacional of Uruguay was a plus, 448. Beat Bahia in the group stage.
And they won, yeah.
Estudiantes was a plus. Palmeiras was even money in the group stage, playing again. And then Sporting Cristal was on the plus side at plus 110, and they beat Bolivar. So next matches in Libertadores today, we've got Talleres Cordoba and Libertad, Vélez Sarsfield, Olimpia, Atlético Nacional and Internacional. Atlético Nacional Internacional. I knew I was going to stumble on that one. Barcelona River Plate, and some club that you might know. The late night matchup against Independiente del Valle, and you are favored at a plus 127, sir.
Prime time, baby. Prime time for Universitario Deportes. Hopefully we win. I think because in the first leg, when we went to Quito, they shouldn't lost that game. They should have won that game. But it's only one shot, one opportunity, and Jordi Alcivar got the goal winner for Independiente, but it did not dominate Universitario in Quito in the altitude. Another coming here to the Monumental in Lima, where this team is undefeated in the last 37 matches.
Whoa. 37
matches without dropping a single point at the Monumental.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you going?
No, Mama's coming. Mama's coming.
Mama's
coming. We're going to watch it here, me and my brother and my mama, all together, and that just cozy here. We went to the first one. Yeah, we went to the first one.
Okay.
But we couldn't get tickets for this one now.
Hey, shoot, you get to watch it at home, and you get to dictate your own prices with your own food and you get to hang out with the boss and everything. Considering what we talked about in the last 15 minutes, will you please be safe?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Just be safe, my friend, and know that we all love you very much. And we'll put a bookmark in that topic, because I think it still needs to be talked about consistently about what is right with the game and what's wrong with the game, and what we can do to help steer things in the right direction, instead of doing silly crap like that that we were talking about. And I use the word silly crap. It's worse than that, but I wanted to try and keep this somewhat of a family show before going on a full rant about it. But just be safe, my friend. Enjoy the match tonight. We love you very much, and we'll catch up with you next week, okay?
Thank you, Johnny. See you next week, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Love you very much. There goes Nino. And Nino's going to watch the match at home. That's a smart play. The chaos of that one, he's like, yeah, we got the first one, but we couldn't get tickets to the second one. Sometimes when you get to hang out with your fam and you get to hang out with the boss, and you get to figure out, okay, I want to go to the Nino Damas Cafe. You just sit there. I want to go over here, and I want to eat that way. It's a lot calmer. You open up the windows, you can probably hear the crowd and everything, and it's just as atmospherically clean. That is perfectly cool. But I did not know the extent of the stupidity that's going on right now with fans of clubs in Peru. So I want to keep a bookmark on that, and continually let's be reminded and stay vigilant about that story, and how things just can go sideways, and how you don't need them to go sideways. But when you've got clubs and accounts posting phone numbers and talking about end of life things with officials, that is where, and we talked about it before about what's wrong with the game. That is where public officials need to step up, find out the guilty parties, and it's all on social media. Social media does not get erased. Because you can go back and you can sit there and look on social. You've got all of the witnesses and the security cameras if you're posting stuff on the matrix boards and the light boards inside stadia about, phone numbers and addresses and all that kind of stuff. Evidence is there. Situations like this where you're sitting there and you're talking about referees the way that you were, You've got to have public officials who are more than happy to step up and prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. This kind of stupidity cannot happen. Sadly, in this day and age, there are folks that feel empowered on social media and they do these kinds of things. They don't need to be doing these kinds of things. So if there are public officials in this situation or any situation, first off, find who those employees are, find out who those fans are, find out who those influencers are. And if you've got somebody that has the fortitude to make sure that that will not happen again, make sure it doesn't happen again. All right, hot tag. Last half hour of the show, we go from Atlanta to Lima, from Lima to Atlanta, and now from Atlanta to Seattle. And we catch up with our buddy Niko Moreno, and we get to find out what's going on. He's got the lid on. He's ready to rock and roll. There he goes. Locked it down, and so you're ready to go. I have, first and foremost, a question for you involving Open Cup to start things off this week.
Yeah, I expect no less from you, John. Of course, always on the ball with everything. And I'm guessing you're talking about the Tacoma Defiance elimination against Timbers, right?
That is absolutely true, because after the match, there was a post-game scrum that we played the following morning from the head coach of the Defiance having a bit of a discussion about the refereeing and the end result of the match going away from Tacoma Defiance. When we were promoting this match and talking about the schedule with Defiance as a part of Cascadia and a half, or the second level of Cascadia against Portland, we said, look, it's Starfire. Anything happens at Starfire. Anything did happen at Starfire. Tacoma had a lead, lose the match. So what happened after the match that caused such a concern as you were there watching the match unfold in front of you?
Yeah, look, first of all, credit to Tacoma Defiance for putting on a real show. I mean, they were playing against a group of veteran MLS players on the other side. Kelsey alone, probably in salary, close to $500,000 compared to a whole bunch of kids that are making nowhere close to that. His salary might cover 8 of the guys that were on the field that day. And he was limited. He was unable to do much. We saw Kelvin Kelsey move around all over the field at Starfire, trying to make something happen. He did not. So Yamada and Stu Hawkins did a fantastic job just limiting his service, followed him around, being physical. I thought that, a guy like Lassiter, Paredes, Yao Ortiz was a starter for the Timbers. Bravo was a starter for the Timbers. So this was a very good MLS side. And Tacoma not only went down in this one in the first half, but they were able to get back on this game. And the problem with everything that you said and the controversy is just how bad the refereeing was. And I hate to be that guy that goes into the refereeing, but look, the first goal for Tacoma by McGraw, there's a clear obstruction on Thomas that does not get called. Thomas on the record told us that there had already been a play where he was blocked, he was obstructed, or rubbed, or whatever it is that they were trying to do when he came to set pieces. And the referee went up to him and said, "Hey man, don't worry, I'm gonna take care of you." Is exactly what he told Thomas, and he obviously didn't, because that goal happens. There's obviously a bad call there, and then he kind of went on from there. Tacoma, credit to them. Georgie Manungu had a fantastic game. He was the difference maker on the white side, creates the 2 assists. The Rosario gets a goal, you gets a goal, and he feels like everything's back to business. Tacoma does not get a penalty called on their side as well. There seemed to be a clear foul, but Portland gets back on it. They get an equalizer, and then the game is ended by a tackle in the box that creates a PK, and Kelsey is the one that puts it away. Tacoma gets away with it, but Coach H, after the game, was very serious about having a history with this specific referee and saying, look, we never get calls. I think it's a problem. I think it should be looked at. So unfortunately, a game that should have been a win-win for Tacoma ended up being a tough pill to swallow because they deserved the game. They were close to beating Portland. And after the game, man, all the fans tried. You've seen Starfire. The proximity from where the fans are to where the referees and the players are at is very close. And as they're trying to walk out the refereeing group, there were people that were very upset. One guy kind of tries to make the referee flinch. I mean, it was really, really a bad situation there to close the game.
Now, now that we go from there to looking at the Open Cup in general, go from the round of 32 down to the round of 16, and you only had the one cup set. We played that one to start the show off, and it was last night where Pittsburgh scores in the night at 90+5 against 10-man NYC. I would imagine that if you are one of the muckety-muck and the hires up at Open Cup, you're sitting there going, man, would have liked for a lot more to happen with the lower divisions. You had AV Alta lose to FC Dallas. You had the Tacoma incident and the Tacoma losing to Portland. But right now, the round of 16 and in, it is all Major League Soccer this time around. Probably not what Open Cup folks would have wished for.
I mean, when you got teams like Chicago that put up a full lineup, and, they just dominate the games because I guess I understand Greg. He has had a couple of awful results. He needed something to kind of hang his hat on, and he, puts 4-0 on Detroit City FC. San Jose, despite the red card, they're able to hold on against Sacramento. Dallas is another team that has had, bad results or bad start to their season. So, they had a pretty close to their starting lineup. I get that there were guys that they rotated, but anytime that you have Lucho Acosta on the field against Alta FC, it just tells you a little bit about how MLS teams kind of dealt with this round of 32. But it is unfortunate. You like to see the Cinderella stories. I think that's the charm about the U.S. Open Cup is when you do get those teams that get through the big boys and make something happen. And Tacoma could have been that, unfortunately, but they were robbed from that opportunity.
Yep. So last week in Major League Soccer, how did you feel Seattle navigated without Jordan Morris putting 4 on the board at Lumen, taking care of all caps? Looked like everything was okay, but that's just on the surface. What did you think?
No, I thought they did fantastic, man. Look, it's insane for me to sit here and tell you that Danny Musovski scored his 4th consecutive goal of the season, 4 consecutive in games. If he scores against Houston this weekend, he would tie Obafemi Martins and Raul Ruiz in 5 goals in 5 matches. Raul Ruiz was the last one to do it. He has the record in 6 consecutive games scoring for the Seattle Sounders. But, if you were to tell me at the beginning of the season that was going to be the case, I would have told you were crazy and that I would bet you my house and my car that would not be a thing. And he's just been on, man. We talked to Danny Musovski. He, thinks that it's the fact that he's engaged that maybe has got him going in the right direction. He's really looked good overall. And against San Luis City, I think everything was working for Seattle. It wasn't just Danny putting that goal there later on, but it was a team that, for me, the entirety of the game, you knew that the goals were coming. They were getting to prime assist positions. They were creating opportunities. There's a lot of competition in Seattle right now, and it's showing. Alex Roldan, first game back after an injury, balled out. I mean, because he knows that Kalani Kozarienzi is right there biting at his heels. So he had a fantastic game, switching the point of attack, putting through balls, being very decisive when he went forward. Albert Rusnak, apparently he hit the highest mark of movement since he's been with the Seattle Sounders, and I think it has to do with Ferreira and Pedro and all the competition. On the left side, I thought Paul Rothrock, he lacked a little bit of sharpness and finishing, but I thought that he was a nightmare against San Luis City, and he knows that he has to do well because Ryan Kent came in and was even better. 2 assists. The guy looked like he was playing with a whole bunch of kids to be quite honest. Low dummy. As soon as he gets on the ball, lets the defender get through. The crowd stands up and claps. The assist for the last goal to Nuhu, which, by the way, second goal in his entire MLS history, uh, is just a quick little feint. Is a quick little stunt to get through the defender, then puts the ball back across the middle of the 18 for Nuhu to put it away. Top shelf for Nuhu. So the competition has really raised the level of play, and I think that is one way that we all knew, and I think I said it here last week, that's the way you were going to be able to manage the absence of a guy like Jordan Morris, is the collective, the ability to just get goals from several places. And I think that's what Seattle did against San Luis City.
I was going to say, like, man, where is this Nuhu, and what has he been doing with Nuhu? That was one of the things that you figure that we've almost started calling it the Nuhu hat trick, where it's a yellow card, a heavy foul, and and some kind of goal action compared to a massive giveaway that creates an opportunity to the other side. So it's usually a goal contribution, a bad giveaway, and a horrendous foul. That's the Nuhu hat trick, and he goes offensive on you. It's like, who is this Nuhu, and what have you done with Nuhu?
Yeah, we talked to him this week, and he talked about some of the learning experiences he's had with Cameroon as national team. He's talked about working on his service into the box. If you look at this game against St. Louis, there's a couple of moments where, like you said, all Nuhu might just rip it down. He gets to the end line, and he might just rip it and see where that ball goes. No, in this one, he kind of lifts his head, knows where Danny Masowski is. He chips the ball. I mean, he did not just he put a good ball in. That's an opportunity. There's another chance that he gets on top of the 18. Onuhu is ripping it, and it might be up there in the Hawk's nest, but he doesn't. He takes a quick glance, passes it through to Albert Rusnak, and creates an opportunity. So I think his decision-making and his services they're starting to show that Nuhu could be at another level.
Oh, I don't want to know what that level is. LAG. We got to talk about LAG here.
Oh.
Yeah, basically. LAG and Montreal have the same record at 0-8-3 out of the blocks in the first 11. We are 1/3 of the way through the season, almost. Next match will do that. And they have not won. And you had injuries coming in that you knew were going to be dictating how you were going to have to figure out how to do things and who else was going to have to step up. And now you've got injuries coming out. I don't think we have an update yet on Gabriel Peck or Joseph Painsel coming out of the loss at Sporting that happened off an own goal. And Maya Yoshida face has taken over all of social media with the memes and GIFs and such. This is bad. This is bad in LAG, and you could be missing folks for a while.
This is as bad as I've seen. Obviously, it's the worst start to any MLS champ in MLS history, and it feels like the injury credit card is maxed out, has been declined. That is no longer a valid excuse. This team has too much talent. I mean, you have Marcus Royce playing for you, for Christ. I mean, come on. I mean, what are we doing? Peck and Painsel, regardless of, they've had opportunities. They've had chances all season long. They're unable to make a difference. A guy like Fagundes, that was at times a heavy contributor, is done. I mean, there is talent in this team. And I'm just sitting here looking at Vanny and saying, man, what are you going to do? Because I don't know. And it seems like no one knows what is truly wrong with this Galaxy. I mean, look, they play a Kansas City team that did not shoot on goal. It was literally the own goal. That was the only opportunity that they created, and that's the way you go out, man. I mean, it is absolutely insane. It is an anomaly. It's something that needs to be studied and dissected and put under a microscope to figure out what it is that's going on. I mean, did the Space Jams come and steal the talent from these players? I mean, what is going on, man? I mean, somewhere there's got to be something happening, but LA Galaxy look like they have no response. I just don't know what happens.
it's almost like you need to take LAG over to the Jet Propulsion Labs over in Pasadena and let NASA take a look at them and see if I think I like your theory about Space Jam taking over LAG. I think that is where we are right now with them. Obviously, everybody's sitting there, and you got some folks freaking out. Oh, you got to fire Greg Vanny, right? No, you don't, because considering what happened, you're the reigning MLS Cup champ. But I'm out of explanations as to what is going on. And then it's, kind of the same thing, in Atlanta with the black cloud hanging over you. Then you make a mistake and you end up with this thought in your head about not wanting to make another mistake. And because you're playing too carefully and because you're too tight, then you end up compounding the fact that you don't want to make a mistake by playing too tightly, and you make another mistake. And then you play too tightly, and then it's like, okay, you can't make a third mistake, but because you're playing too tightly and you had the first two mistakes, you get into your own head and you make that third mistake. And it's just like it seems to snowball. And in Atlanta, obviously, with the expectations that have happened with all of the expenditures in the offseason, trying to get everybody to integrate what Ronnie Deila wants them to do, it seems like it's the same thing. But Atlanta has actually won matches where LAG has not. I mean, it's just wild to think about right now.
Yeah, I believe Shane Falco calls that quicksand, baby. Shane Falco told you that's quicksand. Right? I mean,
Jimmy
and that's what
is nothing. Jimmy McGinty is not a typical coach, Pat.
that is right, and that's what's happening. And maybe that's what you need. You need a Jimmy McGinty to come in and just kind of inspire this team. But you're right. I don't think firing Greg Vanny would do anything other than just compound the problems. You got to try to figure out what it is that you're missing. Maybe take a page out of Caleb's book, and look, the Revolution were dead in the water. Now they have 4 consecutive wins, 4 consecutive clean sheets. He just switched the system. Something's not working. Let me figure it out. Maybe that's what LA has to do. Maybe we play in a deeper block. Maybe we simplify things. Maybe we need to move things to a 4-4-2 or whatever the case may be. You got to be able to figure out how you can affect the game and put your players in positions to succeed. You have the talent, Greg Vanny. And look, I believe in Greg. I think he's a fantastic guy. He's a brilliant strategist. I think he'll figure it out, but he needs to make a change now. And even if he has to tear it all down to rebuild it back up, but you cannot continue to have these sort of results.
San Jose put 4 on Portland, so we got good San Jose last week. Literally, San Jose is like, San Jose is like going to the store and trying to figure out what Toblerone you want. It's like, I don't know what San Jose team is going to show up. They're leading the league in offense, but they're 25th in defense. But I think that's pretty much what we anticipated with San Jose. And with Portland, once again, I don't know which Portland I'm going to get on a weekly basis. Am I going to get the one that's going to be lights out and blow somebody out? Or am I going to get this one that puts up a clunker against San Jose?
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. I thought Phil Neville was very honest and said, look, we lost this in the first 20 minutes because we went in thinking it was going to be an easy game. We thought that we were the best team, and then we found out that we were not. And I think that's fair. Now, on the side of San Jose, Juwan Jones' acquisition changed things for this team. I feel like now you free your most influential player, Christian Espinosa, no longer holding him hostage on the wingback position where he should not be. And now he had a fantastic game. He was my man of the match. Cristian Arango looked fantastic. John Jones, obviously being the experienced, very good attacking fullback with this system as a wingback was great. And you saw him just have an immediate rapport with Cristian Arango and just the way he was moving forward. Harks had a decent game. I feel like Bruce is starting to kind of figure out where the pieces go. And a lot like Caleb Porter, I think we might see this team start to solidify that defense. And part of it is Juwan Jones just putting everybody in places where they should go. So this 4-1 win for San Jose, to me, says more about San Jose than it says about Portland. I think Portland had a crap game, and although I'm not going to excuse that they do have a very big issue, in my opinion, the biggest Achilles heel is midfield. Joao Ortiz, Ayala, no Diego Chara. I mean, you've seen Phil trying to figure out what works there, and nothing has worked. You don't have a guy that's going to control the pace of the ball, uh, give you a little bit of pace changing. That's going to be that general. That's going to kind of control the spaces. They're way too gappy. Ortiz doesn't really have the range that Diego Chara does. So the biggest issue for me is midfield for this Portland team, and the fact that their fullbacks are attackers and they have no defending. They leave so much space. Whether it's Bravo or Mosquera, take your pick. They're attackers, and they have a really bad instinct to come back and defend, and that just leaves too many options for the team to just get you.
All right, let's play cliffhanger and get into this weekend. Obviously, we're going to talk about Seattle at Houston. Seattle's a slight favorite, plus 159, and Dynamo Benny Ball's a plus 177. I know we're going to talk about Atlanta United at Chicago. Chicago's favored at a plus 112. But I do want to start with Minnesota and Messi and friends. Minnesota favored at a plus 124. Messi and friends are a plus 193. Your draw's a plus 270. This one for me is interesting on a couple of different levels. Minnesota United and Eric Ramsey, the ball's got cooties. I don't want it. I don't care. It's all yours. You can have it, and you get to do all the work. You only had 1/3 of the possession last week, but you were the one that got the most goals on the board, taking Austin out back and tying their shoes together. This one for me is interesting on a bunch of different fronts. I want to see how this plays out, where a team that doesn't want the ball is going to give it to a team that has no problem with the ball, and you imagine that they're going to have all the star power at Allianz. This one for me is intriguing.
For me, it's intriguing as well. Look, Red Bulls is not as happy without the ball as they used to be, but they did kind of give the protagonism to Inter Miami, and they were able to put it together. Messi looks like a guy whose pride is a little hurt, and he put those frustrations into New York Red Bulls. I thought that overall, this Miami team was able to figure out how to break down a good New York Red Bulls team. So can they do that against Minnesota? I don't know. I feel like Minnesota is a team that does that better. You just mentioned how they handled Austin. I feel like this team has a lot more speed in the front end. I feel like they can take advantage of when Messi and friends do kind of get too comfortable on the ball and get really high forward. So it's interesting. I feel like this has every potential to be a 1-1 sort of draw. I don't think that Minnesota is going to give a lot of spaces for Messi to roam. They're not going to give a lot of spaces for Segura to be able to influence the game. So to me, I like what Ramsey was doing. I see where he's going. And because of the talent level and what Pereira has been able to do for this team in that creative end, I feel like this is going to be a game that will be a draw. 1-1 draw. That's what I see this game going through at.
Plus 270 on that. Philadelphia hosting Crew. Philadelphia is a plus 140. Crew on the road a plus 194. And your draw's a plus 234.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know if I would put my use boxes there just because it could go either way. Look, Columbus seems like the team that has figured it out, and they're coming from a couple of great games, including over this weekend, right? Rossi looks good. AZ looks good. You're talking about a team that Russell Road is starting to really figure out where he has to be, that this is basically his team moving forward with Rossi, and, they're playing the part. But Philadelphia is very interesting, man. They start off very well. They play Cornell ball. They know how to pressure. Ura starting to kind of feel himself out. You saw Indiana Vasilev just be a difference maker in the last game. So to me, it can go either way. Columbus is a team that at times has looked like when they cannot put the ball in the back of the net, they struggle to figure out what plan B needs to be. And I think that Philadelphia could give them some issues. So for me, honestly, put a blanket over it. It's anyone's game. But if I had to go ahead and pick one, I think that Philadelphia might be able to get the best out of Columbus. Cornell and this team is inspired. Give me Philadelphia.
Okay.
Just as a gut feeling here.
All right, so Benny Ball and Seattle going at it this weekend, and with those juice boxes, it is plus 177 for Houston, 8:40 Eastern start. Draws a plus 222. Seattle a plus 159. What do you think about that one?
I'm taking Seattle in this one. And this is the reason why. Regardless of what we've seen out of Houston, I thought that the offensive issues were going to be fixed with Linger. And I thought that Ponce was going to have a guy that he was going to be able to associate himself pretty well with. McGlynn is a guy that's starting to figure things out for Houston. But defensively, they're having some big issues. Escobar gets a silly second yellow. He will not be available for this game. This team has been drawing at straws on defense, just doing all kinds of experiments with their center backs because they don't have them healthy, because they don't have them playing well. And when you have a Seattle team that has some momentum, this is what I think of Seattle. I have a 3-game road trip. I have a team that's kind of hurting at Houston that maybe we might be able to get them thinking that we're going to go over there and just manage this game. But if we go full lineup, go nice and hot, try to control the tempo of this game, take it away, we might be able to guarantee ourselves a win in the very first game of this 3-game road trip. And that might be that's going to allow us to manage the other two. You got LAFC at LAFC, and then you got the Clasico at Portland. So if you get this Houston win, I feel like you take a lot of pressure off your team. So for me, Seattle's going to lay it all out, put all the meat on the grill in this one, and I think that they'll get the win against Houston.
All right, and then obviously the last one on the board, Atlanta at Chicago kicks off the weekend, 240 start. Atlanta United on the road at plus 204. Chicago Fire a plus 112. Your draws a plus 280. Chicago hasn't won in their last 5. Atlanta had the draw against Nashville. Obviously, everybody's sitting there and thinking that that should have been 3 points instead of 1. What do you think about that one at Chicago?
It's a clear draw for me. I mean, just because of everything Atlanta has been doing, Chicago themselves are, if we take away that 7-2 crazy game, I feel like they're a team that can't control the pace of events. Right. You saw them get a little boost of confidence here in Open Cup, if you want to say that. You know, Bamba played, Cyprus played. I mean, there was a team that was definitely out there to get some confidence. It's almost like that Alabama playing Appalachian State or something to start off the preseason just to get him some confidence. That's kind of what I saw out of Greg on this one. So for me, man, Atlanta, again, is just so difficult to see. That Nashville game, I had a lot of expectations, and I want to use the word that I've used for Seattle at the beginning of the season. Is just not good enough. Mm-hmm. Atlanta's just not good enough. There's too much talent. Should be finishing off games. Should be finishing off chances. Should be creating a lot more than they are, and they just are unable to. So for me, this is going to be a draw, no doubt about it. It's going to be interesting, but to me, it's going to be a draw.
All right, what's going on with Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart? Lay it on me.
Yes, sir. We're going to be recording here today because the team is going to train and travel today. So the usual Friday podcast, we'll probably lay it out on Friday either way, but we'll be recording today. So go ahead and wait on that. As usual, the Sounder at Heart Podcast Network, what we learned this week with Jeremiah, Shannon, and myself, that's going to be on Friday. We have a whole bunch of cool stuff on Pulso Sports, by the way. We have a 101 tactical talk with Freddie Juarez. We just talked to Craig Weibel yesterday, and we got some really cool inside stuff. You will not find the whole video anywhere else than on Pulso Sports. He talks about using that 10-day window from Club World Cup, bringing a transfer, talks about the U22, talks about Tacoma's elimination, what he saw. And one nugget here, Osase de Rosario had a fantastic game, or a good game, against Tacoma Defiance. It wasn't just the goal, it was the movement, it was the opportunities. There is one cross that he heads perfectly on top of 2 MLS talented center backs in Superich and McGraw. The kid plays the part. To me, he will be signed. And it's not an if, it's a when. I expect that to be sometime this week before the Houston game. So I think that there will be a signing giving this kid a full-time first team contract. There's been some injuries there for Seattle. Ferreira has been modified at training, hasn't been fully on training. Musovski is a guy that might need a little bit of a break. So how do you deal with not having Jordan Morris and Ferreira potentially hurt or trying to get back into it? Osasa de Rosario. So I feel like that's going to be the new signing for the Sounders. So go ahead and check that out. All of it on Pulso Sports. And of course, on Monday, the Lobbing Scorchers kickoff with Ari Longwall. Monday, 8 a.m. to 9:15, 9:20-ish. That's all I got.
Yeah, well, so when we're off the air on Monday, they need to go and check out Lobbing Scorchers with everything that you guys do at Sounder at Heart. See, it's a full morning here on the East Coast. See, the full morning, you start with us, then we go over to you on Mondays and Sounder at Heart, and then everything's laid out, and then folks go to lunch, and then they kind of catch up with everything else on the Monday, and then we start it all over again on Tuesday. As always, my friend, great to see you. And I saw that you were busting out your Wazoo mug again this morning. The consistency is there. I see how this works. Yep. The Wazoo mug and the coffee from the Pulse. Love you very much, my friend. We'll see you again next week. Be safe, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Take it easy, John. You the man, baby.
All right. There's Niko. And so that's the world from out west. All right. So before we get out of here, reminder, coming up in about 50 minutes, Soccer is in Session Playoff Daily Live. That's going to be up here on the network. And that is going to be visits to Metter, Whitewater, and Jefferson. And we'll catch you through with all of your brackets. We'll lay it all out for you, what to look for today on the girls' side in the semifinals. Reminder, 2 matches at 6 o'clock on the network. Easiest thing to do, go to soccerdownhere.net, go to our website. Then what you do is you'll see the Listen tab. The Listen tab, you hit that, you'll see a siren go, doot, 6 o'clock. Hit the Listen tab, and it gives you the choice of what match to listen to. Jason, Maddie, Sophia, they're going to be down at Whitewater for Oconee County and Whitewater. I will be at Jefferson for Cherokee Bluff and Jefferson. So we caught up with, once again, Molly McCarty this morning before geometry class. And so you're going to hear that interview in Soccer is in Session coming up at the top of the hour, in addition to our stops at Metter and Whitewater. Lay out all the girls' semifinal matchups for you. Go through all the brackets. Catch up with coaches. Lay it all out for you. And then, once again, we're off and running to those locations later today. Tomorrow, it is going to be Sprayberry at Johns Creek. Boys semifinal. We'll be there for that. Tomorrow, you will catch up with Chad Griffin, the head coach at Hebron Christian, and we're also going to visit Tattnall County and catch up with Coach Chaz. So those are our first 2 guests tomorrow. We'll see if we can catch up with somebody from a girls' victorious side at 12:40 tomorrow that we haven't had the chance to catch up with this year. But today, visits to Metter, Whitewater, Jefferson, plus your brackets on the girls' side. Tomorrow on Soccer is in Session Playoff Daily Live, it's going to be visits to Hebron Christian and to Tattnall County. And then we'll lay out 12:40, and we'll see if somebody can come and visit us then. We'll go through all of the boys' brackets and get that all squared away for you tomorrow. Next week, Soccer is in Session, noon hour. It might be Tuesday through Friday. I'll keep you posted. We might have a taped show on Monday, catching up with media members from around the state that have had some good storylines and some good stories to get into the championships, considering that the championships go to the NFHS network. Today and tomorrow are our last broadcasts of the season when it comes to high school soccer. Once again, we can't thank the schools enough. We can't thank the ADs and the coaches and everybody in the GHSA enough for helping us blow up our schedule when it comes to being around the state and giving you the best of the best and going into a lot of great communities. So today and tomorrow are our last broadcasts for high school soccer on the year. Today, Oconee County Whitewater, that's on SDH. SDH2 is going to have Cherokee Bluff and Jefferson. So that's the layout for today. 2 locations, 2 6 o'clock kicks. Maddie, Jason, and Sophia, they're going to be down at Whitewater. I'll be at Jefferson with Cherokee Bluff and Jefferson. So that's the rundown there. Before we go, really quick note, Atlanta United had their college signing day for the class of 25 early this morning. 8 academy products signed national letters of intent. So their LOIs are going for respective universities. And so now Atlanta United's academy graduates all time to go to the NCAA, and the highest division is now 87. In addition to the 25 commits, 4 players continuing their playing career professionally with the club. Ashton Gordon became a homegrown New Year's Day, and so signed with Atlanta United too in January of 24. Caden Moore signed with the Twos on July 26th of 24, becoming a homegrown effective New Year's Day next year. Santi Pita and Arif Kovac signed with Atlanta United too for the next pro season on pre-contracts in July of 24. Dylan Griner signed with Kentucky. Braden Dunham signed with Furman. Ashton Gordon signed the homegrown deal. Sean Lanza signed with South Carolina, so he's going to go join Tony. Join Tony Annett. Caden Moore is signed with the Twos, becomes the homegrown New Year's Day. Seamus Streelman signed with Clemson. Ayo Akintobi and Julian Bretos both signed with the University of Portland. Santi Pizza, remember, signed the Atlanta United 2 pre-contract. Matthew DeJaney is going to South Carolina. Stephen Herlock signed with Virginia, and Arif Kovac, once again, joining from St. Louis, Scott Gallagher. He signed with the Twos a pre-contract in July of 24. So that's the rundown there with all of that. So that's the news that's fit to print. That's all the news that we have here this morning. Once again, thanks to Max Anderson to give us the Oppo research on the Chicago Fire. Thanks to Nino Torres for everything that he gets to do with us when we go fully loaded and tour the planet. And thanks to Niko Moreno for what he does in Seattle. And we get to tour Major League Soccer with him on a daily basis on Thursdays and the last half hour of the show. Tomorrow, once again, we will get you ready for the weekend, hopefully catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring, and also efforting a guest from Major League Soccer and Apple TV. So hopefully we can catch them at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning as well. Lay out everything as we are now at the 1/3 mark of the season involving Major League Soccer. So thanks to all of you guys in the Twitch pitch. Morning, Emilio. Morning. Let's see. So who else did I miss, by the way? Who else did I miss before we're out of here? Let's see. Morning, Emilio. Morning, Catalucci. Morning, Fourcard. Morning, Bart. We did have the activation on foggy entanglements and blah, blah, blah. So morning, Catalucci. Morning, Bart. Morning, Abby. Morning, David. Morning, Alex. And there you go. Biggest question from Abby. Have you gotten your assignment yet to FIFA Volunteer? So that's the question for all the other volunteers in the Twitch pitch and beyond. So catch up with Abby, and we can figure out where all y'all going to be when it comes to volunteering for FIFA. All right. Once again, back here in about 45 minutes. One more go-round of Soccer is in Session Playoff Daily Live. It's going to be fun to catch up with them, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. We've got coaches, we got brackets, we got interviews, and we got previews. So we've got all that coming up in about 45 minutes. So once again, thanks to everybody who was here with us this morning. Thanks to all of you for dropping by, as you always do, every Monday through Friday at 9:05 Eastern until 11 when we finally do wrap up the show. 11:05 is like a loose construct. It's a marker to hit. It's like we get there, yes, we got plenty more to talk about. Okay, we're still going. So in theory, 9:05 to 11:05, but it traditionally is 11:00 whenever as we go from here. But since it is the end of the show, once again, thanks for dropping by here on SDH. Mucha plati. I'll play it safe. Means I get to do this. See you in about 45 minutes.